This week on the Four Rivers Ag Report, the harvest has begun, and with everything that's happened this summer, what are you harvesting? We'll talk to the USDA for their statewide overview, but more importantly, we talk to our Four Rivers crop guys and find out what they're seeing on the ground. And blue moons, Indian legends, and QR codes? No, it's not the plotline for the next Da Vinci Code movie. That and more next on the Four Rivers Ag Report. Welcome to the Four Rivers Ag Report. I'm Fred Peralta. Well, it's that time of year. The time of year you avoid all of your country shortcuts because of grain trucks. It's earlier than usual, but what about this year has ever been usual? With the early planted corn, the drought, Hurricane Isaac, and now the specter of aflatoxin hanging over our heads, the farmers are so gun-shy, they're either in the fields harvesting or sitting in the combine with the engine running, waiting to go. Wednesday, I talked to Brad Scwhab, the Illinois director of the National Agricultural Statistics Service, about the USDA's crop report and what they're finding out statewide. Brad, the USDA put out their September crop report this morning. Overall, what were the findings?
Well, what we came up with for Illinois, we'll talk about Illinois first, is for corn yield, we dropped 6 bushel from our August crop production report. We're currently at 110 bushels average statewide. So, we're continually getting information from farmers, not only out in the field in our samples that we lay out, but also we do an ag yield survey and contact about 700 farmers across the state. So they're continuing to give us updated information. Now they've been out in the fields in the combines, and they're seeing firsthand what their yields are. So corn dropped 6 bushel from last month. Soybeans were unchanged at 37 bushels per acre. So, of course, there hasn't been a lot of soybean harvest at this point. So.
Right. Nationally, corn production's rated at 3% slightly down from the last month, and 2% slightly down from the month before. We're down from last year some slightly. Around here, it's been bad. What areas has the corn production actually been pretty good?
Well, we're actually we have 9 crop reporting districts across the state, and we are putting out statistics on the projected yields for those 9 crop reporting districts. So if we go from north to south, and that's from the best area of the state to the poorest area of the state, the northwestern district, we're predicting or estimating 139 bushels per acre up there. And then as we work our way south, we're going down to the southeast corner, we're only at 55 bushels per acre. So there's a huge range of yields across the state. And but like I said, as you go, it's systematically as you go from north to south, the yields continue to get worse as we go that direction.
Now, the rain we've gotten hasn't quite been a drought buster, but it sure has been welcome down here, and it's probably helped the soybeans some. Have you been seeing that statewide?
Well, I think that rain came late enough in August that it's not going to be a significant help with the soybean crop. I mean, I think that it may plump up some of the beans and improve the yields a little bit, but it came so late that a lot of the fields were already starting to turn yellow, the leaves were, and so it's not going to provide a lot of a aid or additional yield boost for those fields. The replenishing, of course, the topsoil and to some degree the subsoil is what's really going to be important going into fall for those farmers across the state that do raise soft red winter wheat. Mm-hmm. It will, allow that crop to germinate, whereas just 3 weeks ago there were doubts as to whether or not there was going to be enough moisture to even if the drought continued, to plant the winter wheat crop.
So where are we at harvest statewide?
As of Sunday, September 9th, we're at 21% for corn harvest, and that compares to 6% for the 5-year average. Soybean harvest just getting underway at 1%, and that compares to 1% for the 5-year average. So corn is still leading the 5-year average and ahead of normal, and of course that's partially due to the fact that it's been so dry, and a lot of that corn just went dormant and then matured well ahead of normal because there wasn't any moisture there.
That in early planting, right?
That's right. That in the early.
Well, Brad, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The state information is handy, but what we really want to hear about is what's happening around here. So when there's something strange in our neighborhood, who are we going to call? The crop guys, of course. First up this month is our friend Bob Stahan up near Sedoris in Champaign County. Bob, how is the field work going?
Well, you know, Fred, we really haven't started yet, but we are in preparation to have the ready and get the dryer set. It looks like we're probably going to have to dry the corn.
Really?
And because we are growing white corn, we're concerned about aflatoxin, and I'm hearing all kinds of stories about how aflatoxin can rear its ugly head when you least expect it.
Mm-hmm.
And that means I've even heard that some of the elevators are considering the incoming corn going into the wet bin, and that the wet bin is actually an incubation situation, that the corn can actually develop the aflatoxin in a matter of 14 hours.
Yeah.
So we're thinking that because we're going to have to store our corn, most of the residents in the area, most of the farmers in the area are taking their corn straight to town,
Mm-hmm.
and then they don't have to worry about the aflatoxin. But the aflatoxin can grow in storage.
That's right. That's right.
So we're concerned about that. We're trying to figure out how we're going to handle it. At first, I thought maybe let it dry naturally in the field, put it in the bin. Well, the rain has created some more quality problems, and of course, white corn's all about quality. So if you don't have the quality, you're not going to get the premium. So we're trying to get through the documentation period now and find out if we got it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can document that we have it, then we will be protected when we put it into storage through feral crop.
Mm-hmm.
And if we dry it, I understand that from some experiences I've heard in the area that people have tried low temp drying, and that just brought on the aflatoxin. So I think it's going to have some heat, and it's going to have to be relatively quick to get the moisture out,
Mm-hmm.
like a continuous flow dryer would do rather than a bin dryer.
Right.
So we're thinking we're going to get the dryer out and dry
And
the corn.
so how is walking through the fields, what are you seeing?
Well, we have done some yield checks, and we've heard all kinds of yields from some of the neighbors, and I don't know that I've heard a zero in the area, but I've heard yields in the 20s, and I've heard yields, and I don't know if I believe this one, but 180.
Now, that wouldn't be more surprising than the 20, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is. It's quite a shock to hear a yield like that. I'm hearing some people talk about 140 to 150, but then I talked to some other friends, and they're telling me that their corn isn't that good. So I think corn on corn is taking a big hit this year. If you're in a rotation, you got a better opportunity to have a better yield.
Right. So how are your beans looking?
The beans, I think, have responded to the moisture, and they're going to be pretty decent. They're not ready to harvest yet. We planted a full season bean, sprayed them with fungicide, which helped keep them green longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so the rain has helped them. I think we're probably 3 weeks away at least.
Okay.
Next month.
So you're about ready to get to work then, young man.
We are thinking that probably next week will be the startup time for us. We've let this corn dry. It's around 22, 23%.
Mm-hmm.
In order to store it, it's going to have to be 15. So if it would happen to be down close to 20 when we get out there, that's going to make it fairly easy to dry.
Very good. Well, thank you, Bob.
All right, thank you.
And just now to the little bit to the east of us is our friend Cam Brown. And Cam, have you been in the field yet?
No, we haven't, Fred. It's our crops. We planted them a little later, and we're still waiting on our corn to dry down, and our beans are pretty green. We've got 2 or 3 yellow fields.
So how moist is your corn?
We're still up around 25 or so.
Okay.
And we'd like to see it get down under 20. And with this aflatoxin scare that's going on, we're not sure what we're going to do yet.
You know, isn't that the cherry on top of everything that's happened this year?
Oh, boy, it is. None of us needed that. Got it. And, it's quite a panic right now. Hopefully things will settle down and everybody will understand a little more what we're doing and get on with harvest.
Yeah, so have you walked through your field yet? What are you seeing?
We have. I don't know. Pretty much, I'm not seeing any ear droppage yet. I know there's quite a bit around. We've got pretty good standability yet on our corn, and our corn was green enough when we got the rains from even before Isaac. I think maybe it kept our plants alive. Not that it helped our yield any, but maybe it kept us from losing so much dry matter. And I'm pretty satisfied. I can sit here and wait for a little bit on the corn to dry down.
Okay. So how you
get the wind?
So how are your beans looking?
Good. The rains really helped them. We got about 6.5 inches altogether now since Isaac and all the rain. And our wells have come back and they're doing a little better. I still see a few people hauling water. And so I don't know. I'm anxious on the beans because the rains really helped us.
So you're not in the field yet for corn. How long before you think you might get into the beans?
Oh, boy. It'll probably be at least a week.
Okay.
I'd say more like 10 days.
Right. That's about what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
With Isaac, I know I was concerned with down crop. You didn't see any wind damage at all, did you?
We were very, very fortunate. We had it north of us. We had it south of us. And maybe I've got some somewhere I haven't seen, but we've been very fortunate so far.
Oh, very good, very good. So, well, good luck with the harvest, sir.
Thank you, Fred.
Now it's westward to Shelby County, where Matt Bennett keeps an eye on things for us. Matt, what are you seeing?
Well, several guys around the Windsor area are actually finishing up with corn. There's several guys that are still going, but I would say we're at least 75% done, maybe a fair amount more than that. And beans, you're looking at probably another 10 days before there's a lot of activity.
So what are you seeing with the corn that's coming in?
Most of the corn that's coming in, the quality is fairly decent right here around this area. Yields are ranging anywhere from maybe 40 bushel an acre up to an isolated incident of 100 bushel an acre. So for the most part, yields are significantly lower than normal and even lower than what we were expecting.
So nobody's coming in at about 128.
Very few.
Okay. And you say the beans are about 10 days away from seeing any activity. What are the quality of the corn? Is it you seeing any mold problems?
We haven't seen near as much as what we thought that we would see. We haven't had to reject any loads. We've been testing each new field for aflatoxin.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't found any coming in.
Well, that's good news.
We've been in pretty good shape here. We have a feeling that we may have some aflatoxin coming out later in the year because we put it in a wet holding bin, here at the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can only dry it so fast.
Right.
Unfortunately, aflatoxin grows at the bin. So we've been trying to talk to all our farmers, and us personally on our farm, we just decided to put nothing in the bin.
Okay, so you didn't put anything in the bin, you took it straight to the elevator.
That's correct.
Okay. How are the beans looking?
The beans have been helped by the rain the last 6 weeks. We've had several rains come through our area, and we're still technically a little bit deficient on our moisture, but
Mm-hmm.
we still actually have pretty good beans. It looks to me like we're probably going to have a lot of beans in that 30 to 40 range, and I would have told you, 6 weeks ago talking that we'd be lucky to have 20 bushel beans. Exactly. So most of the guys are almost done with corn. You're done with your corn? Yes.
Okay. So you're just waiting to get into the bean fields.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, Matt, good luck with the harvest, and let's hope the A word doesn't pop up in any field soon.
No kidding.
Thank you, Matt. Let's go south now to Effingham County and Todd Wachtel. Todd, how are your fields looking?
Well, it's definitely continuing the theme of the different kind of year than what we've ever seen before, but we ended up being about 2/3 done shelling corn by the end of August, and then we got a 9-day break in there from the weather, and we're back at it now. It's happened since Monday, I guess.
Now, you sent me an email about how much rain you got and how varied it was. Why don't you tell people about how it looked around your area?
Well, since the 1st of August, we've had about 16 inches of rain.
Excuse me, that 16?
16 inches in the last 6 weeks.
Holy moly.
So we're actually surprised that the ground is solid. I mean, it's still too wet to do any tillage, but we're carrying fine with the combine.
Wow! So you got a summer's worth of rain, a year's worth of rain in a matter of 3 weeks.
Just about, yep.
Wow.
Well, that, Isaac brought 6 to 8 inches for most of where we farm.
Mm-hmm.
And just fills in here and there with another inch or two all the time.
So this has to be the weirdest weirdest farming year ever for you.
It really has. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at this point if we ended up above average for rainfall for the year, and the biggest drought of our lifetimes. So
Well, okay. So you've already knocked me over. Why don't you tell me? What are you, about 200 bushel per acre?
I've seen some of that.
No kidding.
Not for field averages, but we just been selling in the river bottom today, and I'll be shocked. The field monitors continually climbing, and it's around 170 now. So it's easily the best corn we've been in. We're selling. We've had field averages anywhere from 0 to 70 before we got into the bottom. So
okay.
And averaging right in between that range.
Okay, and elves are polishing your car. How's the beans looking?
The beans are looking weird. Is how they're looking. I don't know how to describe them other than that. They don't seem to be. They greened up again after the drought was over, and now they don't seem to be wanting to ripen quite correctly. So I'm thinking we might see what they call green stem, where the beans might actually be dry, but the leaves stay green and the stems stay green, and the leaves stay on the plant. So we're not sure. We think it's probably going to be worse in the early beans than what the later beans will be, because they weren't quite as far along as dying, when it was still hot and dry. But it's hard to tell. It looks like this is going to be another year where we'll actually finish selling corn before we have to cut any beans, though.
Well, good luck.
That doesn't happen very often.
Well, okay, so reporting from Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum South, it's Todd Wachtel. Thank you very much, Todd.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And finally, home again to Coles County and one of our go-to guys, Bill Uphoff near Mattoon. So, Bill, what are you finding in your fields?
We started, I think about the 3rd week of August, and with our earlier planted corn, was actually a little better than I guess we had first expected.
What was that early corn at?
We averaged 114 on 270 acres.
Okay.
The north of Route 16.
Okay.
Get down south of Route 16, and we are just we can't get 100 bushel where we've been so far. I'm going to say right now, after harvesting 700 acres, we're averaging 92. And the moistures have been pretty erratic as well, probably averaging 18.5 thus far.
Okay, so you're averaging about 18.5 here.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. How are your beans looking?
Part of that is the first day of August, we swore we wouldn't dry corn. We weren't going to throw any more money at it. And then we get this aflatoxin scare that it's the least of two evils, I guess, is to dry your corn in hopes that it'll keep in the bin. So
some guys are drying it on the farm, but a lot are just hauling it straight to the elevator. What are you doing?
Yeah, so far it's all going to the elevator. Just there's too much risk there. Even though we've got a lot against us, there's still at 100 bushel an acre. There's still several dollars to try to protect and take advantage of. So.
Yep. Well, I don't blame you for that. How are your beans looking?
I think a lot better than they were a month ago. I think we're going to have a lot more in the pods now than we'd once thought. Sure hate to guess yields, but I'm finding a lot of plants with 35 to 38 pods per plant, and that's on a 15-inch row.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to, calculate that to make a guess, but by far better than a month ago.
Well, that's good for you guys. So, have you found any aflatoxin in your crop yet, or not?
No, the elevator managers where we're going are taking composite samples from us each day, and they will bag those and then throw all of our samples together and send them off.
Mm-hmm.
If that comes back positive, then they go back with our individual random samples and check each individual farmer.
Okay.
So thus far, we have not had that come up yet.
That's okay. Now, you gave me some rain totals from Isaac and the other stuff. What have you seen so far this last couple of weeks?
Let's see. We're the last 2 weeks now. I believe we are over 5 inches. I'm going to say between 5 and 5.5.
Mm-hmm. Any puddling, or did it go straight into the ground?
Oh, it did. Yeah, I didn't see much in the ditches. Fred. Even though at times it came down pretty heavy still.
Yep.
The only places you would see it in a ditch was off of big parking lots and so forth like that. It's really going in, yeah.
Right. So, any wind damage?
Yeah, we had plenty of that. We run chainsaws for 5 days, cleaning up trees. We lost one grain bin. And then, minor little details on buildings. But I guess feel pretty fortunate that that's all we have.
So no down crops?
Yeah, the corn was riddled up pretty bad.
No.
There's a ridge that runs between Windsor and Lerna. It's relatively high elevation across the county.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere we have corn on that ridge, yeah, it was hard to make heads or tails out of the rows.
So the hits just keep on coming for us, Bill. Isn't that the truth?
Another reason, I guess, to pay corn drying, we just want to get the stuff out before something else happens.
We'll close the books on this year quick.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bill. I'll talk to you again really soon.
Yes, thank you, Fred.
One more thing. We had some technical problems this week, and we're unable to get a hold of Leroy Scott and Tim Lenz. Don't worry. We'll talk to them soon, most likely next week, and see how they're making out. So the harvest is underway. But is it under the harvest moon? One of the benefits of being a farmer is that it offers the prospect of spending some time out in nature and under the skies. All that time watching and thinking has led to some interesting traditions based on the moon. Braden Harp reports on some of these traditions in Under the Four Rivers Sky.
As the Four Rivers move into autumn, a topic that often comes up with farmers and members of the agricultural community is the harvest moon. The harvest moon is a full moon during the month of September or October and is usually a sign the corn is ready to harvest. The harvest moon, once referred to as the full corn moon by Native Americans, was part of a calendar system used by the tribes. The Native Americans used the full moons in the same manner we use calendar months, as a measure of time. The full corn moon was the full moon during what we now know as September. The full corn moon signified the time to harvest the year's crops in preparation for the long winter. The Native Americans not only named the moon that signified their harvest season, but named it every full moon. The full moon in February was called the full snow moon due to the heaviest snow often falling during this time. The full moon in October was the full hunter's moon, to signify that the animals were fattened in preparation for winter. September's full moon has been a very important part of the area agriculture for hundreds of years. Usually the moon rises 50 minutes later each day throughout the year. As the autumnal equinox approaches, however, the time the full moon rises is reduced to anywhere from 30 minutes to 15 minutes later each day. Due to this fact, the harvest moon lived up to its name as the moon rose earlier and was bright enough for a few days to give the natives and later area farmers a few extra hours after sunset of harvesting their crops for winter before retiring for the night. In more recent times, the harvest moon as we know it is the full moon that is closest to the autumnal equinox, one of 2 times during the year that the day and night are both exactly 12 hours. Our harvest moon can be anywhere from September 8th to October 7th. Many distinguish the harvest moon by its orange glow that can be seen as it rises. When the moon is closest to the horizon, the light has to travel through more air molecules than when the moon is overhead, and the other colors of light scatter, leaving only orange. Any full moon can achieve this effect as it rises, but the reason the orange glow is often attributed to the harvest moon is due to the fact that many area farmers are harvesting crops and propelling dust into the atmosphere during this time period. This means that the moon's light has to travel through more dust and debris during this time of the year than any other, causing the moon's light to scatter in the atmosphere and air, leaving only an orange glow. This month's harvest moon, however, will be a different kind of signal for farmers in the area, as the drought of 2012 has drastically lowered yields for this season's crop.
Since the start of the month, Central Illinois has received 5.73 inches. That is 2.35 inches above the 30-year average for the month. The last time we were above normal in precipitation was last April. For the year, Charleston was just over a foot behind in precipitation, but the periodic rain events since August has now put us 9.23 inches behind the 30-year average of 30.77 inches. The current drought situation continues to improve as most of central Illinois is classified under moderate drought. The precipitation outlook continues to be above normal for the next 6 to 10 days, and temperatures are expected to be significantly below average in the same period. If we can continue to receive periodic rain events for the rest of the year, this will help provide a positive foundation for the next planting season.
And finally, I'm a big fan of corn mazes, but this corn maze in Lacombe, Alberta, Canada is one for the books. The Guinness Book of World Records, to be exact. You are looking at the world's largest QR code. Now, QR codes are those little blocky graphic signs in advertisements and publications. People whose phones are smarter than I am can scan them and find out more information. The Cray family saw it in a magazine and thought it looked a bit like a maze. And now it does. 15 acres worth of maze. And if you can get your smartphone far enough away or high enough, you can scan it and it takes you to their website. Not the most practical marketing tool, but definitely one of a kind. And well, that's it for this week. Work hard, be safe, get some sleep, and enjoy the beautiful sunsets. I'm Fred Peralta, and thanks for watching the Four Rivers Ag Report.